Talk about a rocky start. The lead singer Chuan Xi completely flakes on a major charity concert, forcing an unsigned trainee to go up and save the show. But our boy silently takes the mic, drops a legendary tearjerker song, and leaves the entire crowd absolutely devastated. His tragic story about a fatal cable car accident even forces the government to inspect amusement park safety overnight. Meanwhile, backstage, Udai agency manager Chen Zhong is watching. He sighs with relief seeing things run smoothly, but the second he turns around and sees his sweating assistant, his anxiety spikes all over again. He demands to know if they reach the singer. The assistant nervously tells him the worst news possible. Chuan Xi was just rushed to the emergency room and cannot perform. Chen Zhong is baffled. What could be that sudden? The assistant admits it is extreme, dehydrating diarrhea. Chen Zhong is absolutely speechless. He reminds them that the stage is sacred, and he literally warned everyone about this. No spicy food, no staying up late, protect the throat. He goes on a massive rant because this show literally decides whether he keeps his job. Just then, the assistant gets a wild idea and suggests the trainee they brought along. Use him as a last resort? No shot. Chen Zhong instantly shuts that plan down. He knows rookies too well. If a newbie can stand on stage without their legs shaking, it is already a miracle. Relying on them is worse than him just singing himself. Seeing his boss freeze up, the assistant gets suspicious and asks if he is actually going to perform. Chen Zhong laughs it off, saying there is no way, but they have no choice now. A rookie is better than nothing. Meanwhile, in the restroom, our main character splashes water on his face, finally accepting the wild truth after a few minutes of total confusion. He just transmigrated into Blue Star. This place is almost identical to Earth, except the entertainment industry here is incredibly backward. And the original owner of this body? The previous owner was just a normal trainee who had not even signed a contract before our guy got suddenly dropped into his shoes. He accepts his new life and turns to leave, becomes face to face with a creepy smile. Holy crap! He jumps back in terror, almost throwing hands before realizing it is just Chen Zhong staring at him with a creepy smile. Our guy sighs in relief, telling him the last toilet stall is free, but he needs his own paper. Chen Zhong is completely stunned by the hilarious misunderstanding. He explains he is not here for that, but to get him on stage. Before our guy can speak, Chen Zhong starts sweet-talking. He says countless trainees want to sign with them, but only the best get a live stage. Quick adaptation is part of their evaluation standard. He promises that if the performance goes well, they will sign a contract immediately. Chen Zhong hands him a sheet of paper and quickly walks off. He is left with only 20 minutes to memorize the lyrics, but looking at the dense musical notes, our boy has absolutely no clue how to read them. He cannot even read music, let alone sing. But right as total panic sets in, a mechanical system ding echoes inside his head. The system has officially arrived, introducing itself as the Charity Entertainment System. As a seasoned reader, he knows exactly how broken this cheat code is. It instantly rewards him with a starter pack, granting him legendary-level singing skills right off the bat. Along with god-tier emotional delivery and a massive music library, instantly a warm energy surges through his entire body. Unlocking years of professional musical experience and countless hits, when he looks down at the sheet music again, all those complex notes suddenly make perfect sense. The complex notes decode in his mind instantly. Then, the system drops a quest, ordering him to raise at least $5 million during the charity show. The reward is random, but the failure penalty is losing the system entirely. Our boy takes a sharp breath of disbelief. Losing his cheat code on day one would be peak embarrassment. Before he can complain, the staff rushes him to makeup. Honestly, his natural looks are already top tier, and with a bit of styling, he easily outshines most famous celebrities, making the stylist gasp. The stylist keeps praising his visuals, but his mind is completely focused on analyzing the garbage song Chen Zhong gave him. Before this, he could not even read basic music theory, but now the entire arrangement and every vocal detail is crystal clear. But the deeper he analyzes the composition, the more disappointed he gets. Honestly, the song is absolute trash. He peeked at the audience earlier and noticed a massive mix of old-school entrepreneurs and trendy young people in the crowd. With such a huge age gap, a boring song like this will never connect with them. He tosses the paper onto the table in complete disgust. Singing this garbage means failing his quest. But suddenly, a light bulb goes off. If they can swap the singer at the last second, why not just change the entire song, too? His biggest cheat code is having a whole world of legendary songs in his head. If this is a charity gig, why not deliver a raw, emotional masterpiece that actually hits? He wants the audience to feel the actual weight of the tragedy. He starts planning. Meanwhile, out on the stage, the crowd is getting hyped. The atmosphere is set up perfectly, and people are already whispering about how You Die Agency stepped up to host this charity event. They are not even charging a dime. Everyone knows them as the powerhouse agency that produced actual A-list stars. Hosting a massive event like this for free is incredibly bold. Meanwhile, sitting right in the front row is the big boss. A smug middle-aged man in a sharp suit is loving all the compliments. As the big boss of You Day Agency, he is practically glowing. Shan knows Yudi's marketing is absolutely killing it right now, but then boom, his phone rings and it is Chen Zhong. Hearing the report, the boss literally explodes. Bro, why are you just now telling me this? Are you actually kidding me right now? If this dumb substitute stunt ruins our brand, you are taking full responsibility. Once he gets the full story, Shan is shaking. He does not even care about the wasted marketing cash, but this risky gamble could destroy the entire company. Honestly, Shan is regretting everything. What a massive backfire! Backstage, Chen Zhong walks into the dressing room where the makeup artist is totally losing his mind over our boy. The stylist says in his 20 years of makeup, he can count visuals this insane on one hand, but Chen Zhong completely ignores him. He walks straight up to Xiaolin and asks if he is ready, only to find our boy literally threw his lyrics on the table. Xiaolin is just chilling in his chair, eyes closed, totally relaxed. Chen Zhong turns pale. Bro, what are you doing? Hurry up and memorize. But our boy just flashes a big smile, saying those lyrics were honestly trash, so he did not bother. Chen Zhong is literally gasping for air. Bro, you are my literal savior and my worst nightmare. Those lyrics were rushed out by top-tier creators using every company connection they had. And now a complete rookie is calling them garbage? Suddenly, the walkie-talkie crackles as the assistant warns that time is basically up. The show is wrapping up, and our boy has to go on stage in exactly 5 minutes. At this point, Chen Zhong is completely trapped. With absolutely no way out, he asks very seriously if Xiaolin really did not memorize a single word of the track. Xiaolin just grins, saying he was kidding. The lyrics are down, but he might go slightly off-key. Chen Zhong just gives him a death stare. Honestly, that is a huge relief. Anything is better than zero prep. He pats Xiaolin's shoulder, telling him to just wing it if he forgets. He tells him to keep singing no matter what to finish the show. Chen Zhong explains a few stage details, but Xiaolin is totally zoning out. Our boy did not absorb a single word. Meanwhile, Yudi's team proves they are built different as the main show starts wrapping up. But the crowd is going absolutely wild for the final solo act. This entire charity show has been insane, totally exceeding all expectations. Fans are whispering that the real final boss act is next. Rumor has it Yudi is launching a secret weapon rookie, which is wild. Putting a trainee in the finale slot? No shot. Yudi has got serious guts. Aren't they worried about a massive stage fail? Well, Yudi's training is famously brutal, so we will see. Hearing all this chatter, Shan is sweating bullets in the audience. His sanity is literally hanging by a thread right now. He can't leave his seat, praying that Chen Zhong was just playing a prank. But then, boom, the lights cut out. The entire arena goes pitch black before blinding spotlights slam right onto the center of the stage. And there he is. A flawlessly gorgeous face flashes on the giant screen, and the crowd instantly goes wild just from his entrance. Honestly, this guy has major main character energy. Xiaolin steps out cool as ice, radiating supreme confidence as he greets the crowd. He announces he is dedicating a song called Daylight to the victims of the tragedy. Seeing him step out, Shan's hope is officially dead, and he completely tunes out the speech. The boss is already sweating over how to explain this upcoming train wreck to the public. Messing up a major charity gig is a massive, unforgivable disaster, and backstage, Chen Zhong is losing it. The assistant panics, asking Chen Zhong if they secretly swapped the song at the last second, because he had no idea about this. Chen Zhong looks completely lost. How should I know? I did not authorize this. He gave the boy a totally different track to perform. The only explanation is that our boy swapped the track at the last second, and get this, it is probably his own original song. A total rookie singing his own original track live? Chen Zhong suddenly realizes he just screwed up big time. It is totally over. Xia Li adjusts his mic and casually tells the band they can sit this one out because he is singing a cappella. The band is stunned. The crowd immediately thinks this guy is cocky as hell, but then they assume Yudi planned this stunt to make him memorable. For a rookie, standing out is everything. But only Chen Zhong knows the truth. The band literally does not know the chords. Xia Li holds the mic and starts singing softly, completely raw. And I should eager to care for when I am a champion. I was empty time, and natural to the end, Tatana made it for me. Shanban ter teffenting dat song jusum. Just a few simple lines and the entire crowd goes dead silent. The raw emotion literally shakes everyone to their core. It is a heavy, suffocating wave of pure despair and helplessness. In the audience, Lu Shan is completely frozen in his seat. He is thinking, what is going on? Which legendary god did Chen Zhong actually hire to save the show? Thankfully, the pause isn't long. Xia Li does not wait long before singing again, telling them they should know they are here. Take care for the papa, do not live. I am tired of something poor. Cheap or chosen, that cheating, I am not your nation. Tell me I am not sure yet. I only felt safe under your shelter. And I will search for my mother, wishing I could turn back time to you. On the day she gave up everything, she left her heart with mine. As I try to tell this story, Mama navigates a sea of endless sorrow. Can you teach me how to survive alone, my love? My dear love. Meanwhile, from the corner of the stage, Chen Zhong just stares blankly at Xia Li's fragile, lonely figure. The assistant beside him is completely stunned, wondering why Chen Zhong is being so quiet. Brother Chen, when did you and Xia Li agree to change the song? Suddenly, clatter! The walkie-talkie slips and crashes right onto the floor. Chen Zhong trembles as he picks it up, uttering something crazy. If I told you he wrote this himself, would you believe me? Wait, what? It turns out they just stumbled upon an absolute genius. An elite rookie like him is a goldmine anywhere, and he just walked right in. This is a literal cheat code falling into their laps. But that joy quickly fades as Chen Zhong's mind drifts away because of the performance. He remembers a tragic disaster that should have never happened. On stage, Xia Li asks the crowd to hear a story, his voice shaking. Hands sweating against the mic, Xia Li talks about October 3rd, 1999 in Guizhou, when a moving cable car suddenly plummeted. At that fatal moment, a couple gave up their lives, lifting their 2-year-old toddler above their heads. The baby survived, but they closed their eyes forever. Beside them, another passenger used his own body to shield 2 completely random children as the cabin crashed down. In that tiny cabin, faced with death, they chose selfless sacrifice. Xia Li's words open up that tragic memory, completely gripping the entire audience. Oh my God, people realize what story he's telling. Fans are crying, begging him to stop because the emotional damage is just too real. Back when color television was still fresh, that shocking news broadcast played on every screen. A cable car meant for only 12 people was packed with 36 passengers. At 11:25 a.m., it slowly climbed toward the peak. The passengers had no idea that the designer of this machine had 0 qualifications and had never even seen a real cable car in his life. Greedy owners jammed 36 people in just to make a quick buck. And the driver? Just half a month ago, he was still a temporary janitor. He only had 4 days of training, learning nothing but how to start and brake. Yet this death trap ran like that for 4 years. Until October 3rd, 1999, when a massive crash echoed through the valley. Boom! On stage, Xia Li's voice rises again. He could hear what she was trying to say, so sure of her love. In that final, desperate moment, a mother's instinct took over. Pure love, showing the sweetest, ultimate protection. You're gonna be okay, my sweet boy. You will survive. In the crowd, a man in a baseball cap suddenly sits up straight. He's actually a local TV station commissioner. He only showed up to gather basic footage for a documentary, but Xia Li's incredible vocals completely blow him away. Hearing the raw, heartbreaking story behind the song makes every single lyric hit 10 times harder. Everything suddenly clicks, and a daring, brilliant idea begins to spark in his mind. Meanwhile, I don't even care anymore. I just want to find my mother to save my soul. Losing your words and your voice in this endless ocean, while you wait for a hand that can barely reach you anymore. I keep trying to sing this story, Mama, watching a sea of broken hearts that can never be mended. I'll truly sing of your eternal love. Xia Li's soul-stirring performance pours raw emotion into every single note, leaving the entire crowd drowned in tears. People quietly sob under the heavy weight of despair. Before long, thin trails of smoke begin to drift through the studio. It's the smell of tobacco. In the front rows, middle-aged men with graying hair silently pull out their cigarettes. They're elite businessmen, corporate managers, and successful figures. Halfway through life, they've learned to deal with overwhelming grief this way. They light up to let the sorrow fade into the smoke. Smoking is strictly banned here, of course. Yet not a single soul steps up to stop them. In the back, a young guy pulls out his pack right in front of his girlfriend. He doesn't care if she'll scold him later. Right now, he has only one desperate thought. He needs a smoke to cope. His friend hands him a strong cigarette to help ease the pain. On stage, Xia Li lifts the mic once more as his emotions begin to settle. Looking back at the very moment you took my soul away. Yeah, I won't say too much unless she's there. Why don't you just wait until... So you're barely even there for me. Was on your cheating, trying to tell us all. Another ghost who sees the single heart we own. There's no time to lie, just tell me so long. As Xia Li sings the final syllable of Dear Young Love, a deep silence fills the entire room. A relieved smile appears on his face as he stands up to bow deeply, thanking the crowd. But right now, there is absolutely no response. The audience is completely paralyzed by his performance, totally lost in the emotion, while director Shan quietly rubs his red eyes. Snuffing out his cigarette, he begins to applaud from the bottom of his heart, and that sound finally breaks the absolute silence. Slowly, the sparse clapping spreads across the studio, growing into a thunderous standing ovation from every single person, until a sudden figure in the crowd stands up. This man starts waving at the staff, which instantly makes director Shan super nervous, because this guy is definitely not some ordinary viewer. He rushes to hand him a microphone, and the commissioner doesn't waste any time, introducing himself as Zhang, an envoy from the local TV station. He asks Xia Li for a small favor, and our main character, currently nursing a stuffy nose from crying on stage, politely tells him to go ahead. Hearing that stuffed-up voice, Commissioner Zhang laughs out loud, but inside, he is becoming more and more impressed with this kid. He invites Xia Li to help shoot their upcoming documentary and wants to use this song as the official theme, which is a massive deal. The crowd instantly erupts because getting noticed by an official television station is huge, especially since nobody knew any state media officials would be here. Honestly, the author is cooking here because an undebuted amateur getting official state backing for his original song is literally unheard of. He's not just going viral, he has got the official stamp of approval, so Xia Li calmly nods and accepts without sounding desperate. Commissioner Zhang lets out a sigh of relief and promises to let the rest of the show continue without any more interruptions. As the show reaches its final segment, Chen Zhong takes the stage to thank everyone for coming and wraps up the performance. He invites anyone wanting to support the charity cause to drop their donations into the boxes placed on both sides of the stage. If you do not have cash but still want to help, you can easily scan the QR codes above the boxes to donate. Every single cent raised will go directly to the disaster zone to purchase essential daily necessities and clothing for the survivors. Finally, he announces the show is entirely free because charity is priceless, and the moment he says this, the massive crowd stands up. Everyone is completely on board, eagerly lining up on both sides of the stage to drop whatever money they can spare. They form two massive lines, and if anyone actually counted the crowd, they would notice something wild. Not a single person is leaving early, and as they line up to donate, the giant stage screen starts playing a raw interview. It shows heartbroken kids who just escaped the earthquake zone, with kind volunteers doing their best to hand out warm meals. One volunteer coos for a little girl to eat, but the kid just asks if her grandmother has eaten yet. She says her grandma promised to find her once she was safe, but she has not seen her for a whole week now. Fighting back tears, the volunteer lies that grandma is just hiding, promising she will return if little Rui finishes her food. A tiny smile finally breaks through the dirt on the kid's face, but then the screen cuts to a heavily injured man. Kneeling on the ground, he screams in absolute agony that he was just seconds away from saving a 5-year-old boy.
He keeps sobbing, wondering why he could not run faster, and these heavy scenes play out on the massive screen.
Every single viewer is moved to tears, and the sound of heavy cash hitting the donation boxes starts growing louder. Mix that with the constant digital beeps of mobile scans, and you get a room full of people deeply feeling the tragedy. Everyone finally connects the dots to the heartbreaking source of helplessness in Xia Li's song, realizing their own daily struggles are nothing. One guy even says he is in massive debt and felt like giving up, but seeing this makes him donate immediately. Once the charity drive wrapped up, Chen Zhong personally leads Commissioner Zhang backstage while the makeup artist helps Xia Li unpack. He sits down and brings up the documentary partnership again, wanting to make sure Xia Li actually remembers the offer. Xia Li originally thought the official was just being polite on stage, so seeing him follow up in person is pretty surprising. He is literally just a newcomer, but this high-ranking official is taking him so seriously that he came all the way back. Xia Li is deeply honored, telling the commissioner he is flattered by the personal visit, but the older man just shakes his head. He explains that their station values raw talent over age, and Xia Li's performance was absolutely worth the extra effort. He grins, admitting it has been a long time since a song made him cry like a baby, which is high praise. He credits the entire success of the charity drive to Xia Li, making Chen Zhong stand there completely stunned by the huge compliment. While everyone else is busy praising her insane vocal technique, Commissioner Jiang is looking at the actual message of this masterpiece. Honestly, the depth of this song basically folds some of the biggest veteran icons in the industry. But before Xia Li can even process this massive compliment, the commissioner gets straight to the point. He reveals his actual reason for coming back. He desperately needs a clean audio track of her song, Daylight, right now. He asks if they have a studio-grade CD version with zero noise because he wants to match it to his documentary footage. Xia Li can only shake her head. She literally changed the song last second, so there is no official recording yet. Thankfully, Chen Zhong swoops in to save the day. He tells the commissioner their agency has a state-of-the-art recording booth. Since it is pretty late, he offers to bring her in tomorrow morning to lay down a clean track and send it over. Commissioner Zhong happily agrees to the plan and finally heads out. But here's the thing. The commissioner is low-key lying about why he wants that track. Making this documentary has already put massive pressure on his shoulders. He actually just called the television station to pitch his new idea, but the feedback he got was a total disaster. The higher-ups shut him down instantly, and once they heard he wanted to use an unknown artist like Xia Li, they lost their minds. This is honestly the first time in his career his pitch got completely rejected. He knows inviting her represents the official station, so every move he makes has to be carefully calculated. But he is not acting on a whim, so he devises a genius plan to win them over. If he can get her studio track back to the station, those arrogant executives will have to shut their mouths once they hear her raw talent. He has absolute faith in her. Once he leaves, Xia Li removes her makeup and heads home. Her head is pounding from all these sudden transmigrated memories. She is completely exhausted and just wants to crash. But by 2 a.m., a low-quality, shaky video quietly explodes to #1 on the hot charts. It is blurry, out of focus, and barely edited. It is just a raw clip from the old disaster zone, showing a ruined wasteland, collapsed buildings, and people desperately crying for help. The camera pans over helpless children, crying elders, and traumatized mothers. And playing over this tragic footage is a hauntingly beautiful song that nobody online has ever heard before. Her emotional vocals match the visual pain perfectly, piercing straight through everyone's souls. This raw, unedited post is blowing up fast. It hits over 1 million likes in just a few hours. Absolutely insane. Visibly moved, netizens immediately launch a massive hunt to find the singer. Before long, they track down the original clip of Xia Li on stage, tears in her eyes as she explains the tragic story behind the song. Back when that disaster happened, it was huge news. But like always, the hype eventually died down. People slowly forgot, because there's always a new headline and time has a way of making us numb to the past. But hearing Daylight tonight, it is like a bullet fired 10 years ago just hit them right between the eyes. Comments are flooding in saying this song is too good and that they finally understand what real art from real life feels like. One user says they swore to quit smoking, but this made them go buy a pack immediately. People are crying on balconies everywhere. Netizens never lie when a song actually hits their souls. Thousands of emotional listeners immediately rush to music streaming apps to find the track, but they all end up disappointed. Turns out the song is completely unreleased. The next morning, Xia Li finally wakes up, the sun already high in the sky. She stretches, opens the curtains of her tiny apartment, and turns off airplane mode. Instantly, her phone starts buzzing like crazy. It is a flood of missed calls and messages from Chen Zhong. She calls him back and he screams that the world has literally exploded. She is like, "What are you talking about? It is perfectly sunny outside." He snaps back. "If it didn't explode, why are you 2 hours late?" Xia Li quickly apologizes, blaming it on how draining yesterday's show was. Chen Zhong drops it. Honestly, who can blame her? She is the biggest star in the agency right now. He tells her to grab breakfast first, but warns her that the big boss is waiting. Hanging up, Chen Zhong turns to the label boss, Shan, and tells him to relax, because creative geniuses are always a little eccentric. He jokes that maybe she is just playing hard to get to test their patience, but Shan is sweating bullets, chugging tea to stay calm. He's like, "Are you insane? How can I not worry when literally every talent agency in the city is trying to steal her?" If they had her phone number, she would have been signed by rival agencies last night. Chen Zhong is stunned, asking if it is really that bad. Didn't those rival agencies claim their talent lists were already saturated? Shan just sneers, saying that is absolute corporate nonsense. They just want to exploit established talent without training them. A legendary singer-songwriter like her is a gold mine. His phone has not stopped ringing since yesterday. Rival bosses are literally calling him directly to steal his talent. Right on cue, his phone rings again with Colossus Entertainment on the caller ID. It turns out someone backstage leaked the whole story about her filling in last night, along with the fact that she hasn't officially signed with them yet. This leak completely broke the internet, and now every competitor is scrambling to snatch her up with insane offers. Some cheeky executives are even asking Shan what his offer was, promising to double it. It is incredibly disrespectful. Having their headliner fail only for a backup to steal the show was embarrassing enough. If she gets snatched by rivals now, they are done. If this deal falls through, Shan won't have any face left in the industry, so he keeps mentally preparing himself. He tells himself to agree to whatever demands Xia Li has, because Dai cannot lose this absolute goldmine. Meanwhile, completely oblivious to the chaos outside, our main character grabs a quick bite and hails a cab. Walking straight to the Dai company building, Xia Li enters the office where Shan immediately jumps up, acting incredibly polite. Shan tells him that since he is much older, he will just call him Xia Li. He gets straight to the point. He wants to talk about signing a contract. He assumes Xia Li already knows how the industry works regarding profit splits and copyrights, so he wants to hear Xia Li's thoughts first. Playing the humble veteran, he tells Xia Li to throw out any demands. Honestly, this boss is playing it super safe. He is fully prepared for Xia Li to demand a massive deal, but just as Xia Li is about to speak, the office door gets slammed open by uninvited guests. The receptionist tries her best to block them, screaming that they cannot just barge in, but these intruders completely ignore her. This is wild. Talk about zero manners. A middle-aged woman walks in complaining about unanswered calls, accusing Shan of trying to secretly steal a talent right under their noses. Instead of getting angry, Shan stays completely calm. A veteran of his level never lets his emotions show. Once the woman is done ranting, she completely changes her tune. She flashes a warm smile and introduces herself as the representative from Jushang Entertainment, wanting to sign Xia Li. Xia Li immediately realizes what is happening. They are here to hijack the deal. The other two introduce themselves as reps from Chuan Xi Records and Haiyun Music, both massive industry giants. The woman boasts about Zhu Shang's massive success in recent years, warning Xia Li that he really needs to keep his eyes wide open when choosing an agency. She tells him not to sign with a trash company that forces rookies to cover for others during major shows, claiming it would only waste his talent. Her words are incredibly hostile. Liu Shan remains expressionless, but his eyes carry a heavy pressure as he coldly asks what she is actually trying to say. The woman shrugs, saying she wants Xia Li to sign with Zhu Xiang, asking if she needs to repeat herself. That is when Chen Zhong finally stands up. Sure, Liu Shan might have patience, but Chen Zhong definitely does not. He points out that Zhu Xiang recently had an artist blacklisted, with several dirty trainees. Asking if she wants him to call out every dirty trainee they have, he then turns his sights on Chuan Xi. He mocks them for their shady double contracts and plagiarism scandals. Honestly, Chen Zhong's clapback is extremely satisfying, but Liu Shan immediately glares at him to shut up. These scandals are major leverage in business warfare, yet Chen Zhong just blabbed them all out. Xia Li, completely enjoying the drama, slowly speaks up. He tells them to focus on business since they did not travel all this way just to bicker, asking to see their actual offers. The female agent quickly composes herself, slapping a document on the table to show their S-tier resources and 50-50 split offer. They only require 5 new songs a year. Immediately, the second representative steps up, offering another S-tier contract, but with a 40-60 split. Offering 40% of the earnings, Chuan Xi demands 8 new songs, but they boast the most A-list artists. They promise to regularly arrange for Xia Li to collaborate with their top-tier artists for commercial promotions. Next, the Haiyun representative steps up, offering a 50-50 split with 8 new songs yearly, promising to show their absolute sincerity. Promising to organize at least 2 massive concerts for him every year, they wait for his reaction. Xia Li just nods. These companies are seriously bleeding cash just to lock him down. Zhu Shang has low demands, Chuan Xi has endless resources, and Haiyun is straight up throwing money. Honestly, no normal rookie ever gets these kinds of legendary contracts, let alone having massive industry rivals literally fighting over them in a single office. But that is what happens when a creator is just built different. Otherwise, these suits would never risk their reputation by barging into a rival's office like this. Finally, the silent Liu Shan speaks up, saying that since they went this far, he might as well show his hand too as he opens his drawer. He pulls out their pre-prepared S-tier contract, offering a 50-50 split and 8 songs a year, admitting Udai has no real advantage here. When dealing with a genius like Xia Li, he refuses to act superior or treat him like a typical employee. So right in front of everyone, Liu Shan literally rips up the contract he just prepared, deciding to add a brand new clause on the spot. He declares that all music copyrights will belong entirely to Xia Li, meaning the company cannot use his work for any commercial purposes without getting his prior consent first. This massive plot twist hits the room like an absolute thunderbolt. The female agent clenches her teeth, her expression turning incredibly dark. The other reps are completely speechless. Honestly, how do you even match that? Finally, the female agent breaks the silence. Her face turns completely red as she asks if he is joking, but Liu Shan coldly replies that he never repeats himself. Seeing that the boss is dead serious about giving up the copyrights, Xia Li immediately knows what he has to do. He gives his final decision, noting that the other companies simply are not as generous as Boss Liu when it comes to copyrights. His final choice is completely obvious. Liu Shan calmly brews a fresh cup of tea to dismiss them, leaving the representatives utterly furious. They glare at Liu Shan, but can do absolutely nothing about it, leaving with their tails between their legs while Liu Shan acts completely unbothered. Not even blinking, he waits, but the moment they finally leave, his face immediately softens. Liu Shan turns back into a friendly host, pouring Xia Li another cup of hot tea and promising to honor every single word. Liu Shan puts on his warm face again, pours Xiao Xia some hot tea, and tells him a real man always keeps his word. The boss agrees to all terms, but now it is Xiao Lin's turn to speak. He takes a sip of tea and holds up 2 fingers. He demands 2 extra conditions. Before this, Liu Shan gave up almost all profits just to keep Xia Lin around. Pushing for more now might actually break the budget, but Liu Shan is already too deep in. He has to listen. First, the song Dawn must be released completely for free since it is a tribute. Second, the company must help him start a charity foundation. He wants half of his personal earnings donated regularly. This was a heavy decision he spent the entire night thinking over. In his past life, the original artist went broke doing charity, even saying he would pick up trash before giving up. That selflessness deeply moved Xiaolin. Hearing this, Liu Shan feels his own mindset was incredibly small compared to this kid. He realizes he did not misjudge him. Usually capitalists only do charity for tax write-offs, but Xiaolin is built different. Liu Shan admits he is schooled and agrees on the spot. The contract is printed, Xiaolin reviews it, and signs. Chen Zhong stands up, mentioning the commissioner is rushing them. It is time to record and get the song live on all platforms. Xiaolin nods and leaves the office. But on the way out, Chen Zhong suddenly remembers something.
He asks if Xiaolin knows how much they raised. Chen Zhong excitedly screams it is a whopping 13 million.
That is 10 times the company expectation. While Chen Zhong is celebrating, a familiar system ding echoes in Xiaoling's head. Quest complete! For raising over 5 million, he gets a random reward, Piano Mastery. Hey, that is actually a pretty useful skill. But before he can even celebrate, a new quest drops. He has to donate a school worth 5 million. The system will auto-deduct the money once he earns it. Xiaolin thinks that is sweet, but then something hits him. He asks if his charity foundation can pay for it, but the system says personal donations do not count toward points. What a massive scam! He already promised his foundation money, meaning he has to donate twice. Even greedy capitalists do not exploit like this. The system tells him not to complain. Seeing him mumbling, Chen Zhong stops and asks what on earth he is doing. Xiaolin asks if he can get some side hustles. Chen Zhong eyes his handsome face and warns him not to do anything stupid. He warns that some rich industry folks have weird tastes, and a scandal would ruin him. Xiaolin is speechless and quickly explains. He just wants to write songs for other producers. Chen Zhong says those gigs exist, but producers always demand veteran singers. He advises Xiaolin to focus on his own foundation first. Seeing his path blocked, Xiaolin can only sigh. He silently curses the system in his head before giving up. Soon, they arrive at the recording studio. Chen Zhong introduces Xiaolin to the audio engineers and briefly explains why they are here.
The engineer asks if he has any recording experience. Xiaolin says no, immediately giving the engineer a bad feeling.
He tells Xiaolin to go inside and put on the headphones. The moment the door shuts, the engineer turns to Chen Zhong. He complains that Chen Zhong hyped him up all night, only to bring in a completely raw rookie with no experience. Before Chen Zhong can explain, Xiaolin's voice comes through the speakers, asking if they can finally start.
The engineer tells him to listen for the cue, cues up the backing track, and presses play. Honestly, he stayed up all night because this backing track was absolute fire. Looking at the sheet music, he sighs. He admits the lyrics and melody are incredible, but giving such a masterpiece to a rookie feels like a waste. Get ready, because this man is about to get completely humbled.
Watching Papa, now she is eager to kill. For when I am a champion, I will shine. She tells me that she will hold you again. Nah, that is insane! The engineer completely freezes, slowly turning to Chen Zhong in utter shock. Rookie? No shot! Chen Zhong just shrugs. Yep, that was his exact face the first time he heard Xiaolin sing. A few minutes later, Xiaolin walks out and asks if there's anything they need to fix or re-record. The engineer snaps out of it, trying to act professional. He tells Xiaolin he could have just spoken through the mic. Xiaolin explains he actually called out several times, but the engineer was sitting there completely frozen. He thought his headphones were broken. The engineer is completely lost, embarrassed that he zoned out. He was so mesmerized by the vocals that he did not hear a thing. Chen Zhong points out Xiaolin asked 5 times. The engineer stays quiet, his fingers flying across the keyboard. Xiaolin asks if he needs to do a lot of edits. Instead, Chen Zhong suddenly receives the finished track on his phone. The engineer tells him it is ready to go, no edits needed. After finishing his rant, the audio engineer shoves a business card into Xia Li's hand, telling him to call whenever he needs to record. Even if Xia Li is on Mount Everest, the guy promises he will climb up to mix the track, rambling on with pure excitement. He looks at Xia Li like he is staring at a literal gold mine, while Chen Zhong is just as stunned because hundreds of artists have used this studio. Usually, the engineer has to pull off crazy editing tricks and pull all-nighters, but a singer who does not need any tuning? Yeah, they have never seen that before. It is actually crazy. Right then, Chen Zhong's phone rings, and it is Liu Shan calling in a panic. Liu Shan shouts for them to bring Xia Li to the meeting room immediately, saying they can finish the recording later.
Chen Zhong agrees, and minutes later he leads Xia Li into the office only to find the room packed and completely chaotic.
People are everywhere, and Liu Shan is stuck in the middle looking exhausted, while representatives offer to throw even more cash at him. Another rep begs, saying they absolutely have to sign him, while others try to use their existing company partnerships as leverage. Everyone is shouting over each other, offering deals and playing nice, completely ignoring the two guys standing at the entrance. Liu Shan finally spots them and quickly waves them in, telling the crowd that since Xia Li is here, they can talk to him directly. Immediately, a middle-aged man on the left jumps up in excitement, introducing himself to Xia Li.
He is from a major music show and wants to invite Xia Li to join as a secret challenger.
Thanks to his transmigrator memories, Xia Li recalls that this show is a massive, newly launched hit on this planet. It is basically like the big idol survival shows from his past life, but the crew explains this challenger rule is actually a secret twist. Since it has not been announced yet, they want Xia Li to sign a non-disclosure agreement whether he joins the show or not. Xia Li has no issues with that, but he is business-minded, so he immediately asks how much they are paying. The rep hesitates, crosses his fingers, and says they can offer 100,000 per episode. Oh, now we are talking. Xia Li locks in, plays it cool like a seasoned pro, and slowly tells them they need to pay more. The rep is stunned and asks what price he has in mind. Xia Li casually drops a massive 500,000. Chen Zhong almost loses his mind at the sheer audacity of this guy, secretly nudging Xia Li's arm to make him back down. The rep's sweat drops and asks to call his director. Xia Li nods coolly, acting like he is him, even though he is low-key panicking inside. Honestly, 100,000 was already huge, but his absolute scam of a system forces him to milk every coin he can get. But guess what? Minutes later, the representative walks back in and says the director actually agreed to the deal. Talk about plot armor! The entire room goes dead silent. Neither the company bosses nor the show's own staff expected this insane deal to go through. Their absolute limit was supposed to be 150,000, and honestly, amateurs never get paid appearance fees anyway. Usually, newcomers just get their travel and hotel covered, but Xia Li is built different and broke the entire system. For a stingy director like Zhang Tao to agree to this crazy price is wild. The rep gulps and looks at Xia Li. He asks one last time if Xia Li really wrote the song, Daybreak, by himself. That night, the official track quietly drops online. With zero marketing, it takes a mere 3 hours for the song to shoot straight to the #1 spot on the charts. It even enters the main trending lists while creators everywhere start using the audio for safety awareness and disaster prevention videos. Those accounts usually get no views, but this track is low-key heartbreaking and makes everyone emotional, instantly boosting national safety awareness. People are literally turning on earthquake alerts on their phones, which completely stuns the national emergency and fire departments. Years of public campaigns did nothing, but one song accomplished it overnight. Still, the authorities are not complaining. It is a massive win, but now the pressure shifts directly to the tourism board because of the tragedy behind the song. The government orders a massive inspection of all amusement park rides, forcing the entire department to work overtime to secure public safety. Nobody dares to complain because they know the state is dead serious. Meanwhile, our MC has no idea about any of this. Xia Li is called into Chen Zhong's office, wondering what is up as his manager looks up from his phone. Chen Zhong tells him to take a seat, explaining that the show just sent over the rules for the next round. Xia Li is confused as to why they are acting so secretive about it, but Chen Zhong just sighs and hands over his phone. The rules say contestants can invite a guest helper for any song they want, likely to help boost nostalgia and ratings. Famous singers will help contestants sing hits to get those emotional votes, but Chen Zhong thinks Xia Li has nothing to worry about. After all, no song right now can compete with the absolute hype of Daybreak. But Xia Li points out that since the other contestants are amateurs, they cannot possibly pull any famous industry singers. Chen Zhong smiles, telling him he hit the nail on the head because over 30 of those contestants are actually signed to agencies. The agency is actually hiding some secret second-generation celeb kids whose identities have not leaked yet.
Our boy Xia Li asks what happens to the regular contestants who do not have any backing.
They become sacrifices, and Chen Zhong's brutal honesty completely stuns Xia Li. This industry is way darker than he thought.
Chen Zhong tells him not to worry about the guest star because the company has plenty of veteran artists he can pull.
He brought Xia Li in secretly to get his thoughts, warning him that the competition is stacked with serious talent.
Some top contestants already have huge fan bases, so Chen Zhong suggests picking a guest singer whose voice fits his hit song, Tian Liangla. He slides a list of their company's own singers over, and every single one of them is at least third tier. He tells Xia Li to choose his favorite and promises he will pull some strings to make it happen. Xia Li looks at the list and his jaw drops because even first-tier A-list superstars are on there. Chen Zhong laughs at his reaction, warning him that he might have to beg some of these big names. He would have to owe favors, but his tone says go big or go home. They need an absolute banger performance. But then, Xia Li slides the list away and says he wants to perform an original song. Chen Zhong agrees before realizing what he just said. The manager jumps straight out of his seat. Xia Li, this is your first big stage. You need to play it safe. He can show off his talent later, but right now he needs to secure his spot in the top 24. Plus, with the show just days away, there is barely any time to write a song and rehearse with another singer. But then our guy drops another bombshell. He already picked his guest performer. Chen Zhong asks which singer it is. Xia Li says he is not a singer, just a regular guy. Chen Zhong nearly has a heart attack on the spot. Classic Xia Li. If he is not playing with fire, he is not happy. Chen Zhong begs him to let him hire a real singer instead. The gold medal manager is literally begging to give him A-listers. Talk about a complete role reversal. Chen Zhong is feeling a major career crisis right now. A few days later, they board a plane to the studio. Sitting next to them is a dark-skinned, rugged-looking guy. This is the guest performer Xia Li recruited. Xia Li kept completely quiet about him, so Chen Zhong tries to interrogate the guy himself on the flight. Turns out he used to do internet promotion, but has been a simple farmer for years now. If Xia Li had not called, he would be fertilizing fields. Chen Zhong completely panics and asks if this is a joke. But Xia Li just relaxes in his eye mask, saying his guest has only ever lied once in his entire life. When Chen Zhong asks about the song, Xia Li says he is still thinking about it, and then immediately falls asleep snoring. The farmer just blinks innocently, and Chen Zhong feels the other half of his heart clog up. Talk about peak comedy! After they land, they check into the hotel. That night, there is a knock on Xia Li's door. It is the show director, Zhang Tao, who heard that Xia Li's guest performer is a bit too ordinary. Xia Li openly admits the guy's an outsider. Director Zhang Tao is deeply worried, having seen the other contestants' professional guests. The other teams are bringing in industry veterans, so Xia Li is basically throwing away a massive advantage here. Zhang Tao warns him to reconsider, but Xia Li refuses to budge. The guest is locked in, period. Zhang Tao lets it go, but mentions that everyone else has already submitted their song choices for the round. If he is singing Tian Liangla, the crew already has the backing track. Xia Li just takes a slow sip of water. Then he drops it. He is doing a brand new original song. The director completely freezes in shock. Another original? Zhang Tao invited him specifically because his first song, Tian Liangla, was a viral masterpiece. If Xia Li performed that hit, ratings would skyrocket. It would have been an easy, historic win for the show. This sudden change completely ruins the director's hype, but then he wonders if Xia Li cooked up another absolute masterpiece. He asks to see the draft, and Xia Li casually smiles, saying he was actually writing it just now. It is not finished, but he points to his glowing laptop screen. Zhang Tao steps over to take a quick peek. The screen is completely blank, except for a single comma. He says he just got in the zone. Is he kidding? Writing a song the night before the show is insane. Zhang Tao is speechless and quickly leaves him to work. As the door closes, Zhang Tao's blood pressure skyrockets. He almost faints right there in the hallway. A passing staff member asks if he's doing good, and the director practically snaps. The night passes, and Zhang Tao has to mentally prepare himself for Xia Li to get immediately eliminated. Honestly, that $500,000 appearance fee hurts. It feels like getting scammed, spending tons of cash, getting absolutely nothing back, and just buying a harsh lesson.
Even so, director Zhang still holds on to a sliver of hope that Xia can somehow drop a god-tier hit song overnight. But with the show literally about to start,
There is zero noise from Xia's end. Director Zhang completely gives up hope. Then, at 7 p.m., the show, Singers, Please Take Your Places, officially goes live across the internet. After the host runs through the standard opening intro, the three all-star judges make their grand entrances. Once they take their seats, the host takes back the mic and welcomes the first contestant. The stage lights dim, and a petite figure slowly steps out from the main gate. She slowly walks onto the stage. Even though she is still standing in the dark, the crowd immediately gasps, recognizing her right away. No way, is that Su Xiaoya? Fans know this lolly goddess so well, and putting her first means the production team is absolutely cooking up some drama. Everyone remembers her last performance, where she wore a maid outfit while drinking hard liquor on stage. Her hardcore fans instantly start spamming the chat. The reason she has such insane popularity is because this cute lowly only sings pure heavy metal rock. It is such a wild contrast. That adorable face mixed with heavy metal is the ultimate contrast. Soon, roaring background music kicks in, and Su Xiaoya, standing in the spotlight, opens her mouth. Make a yellow one light into shore. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Cannot handle the strong one. There was one of the show. Don't pay for your dorge, a place where I chose. Rock music fans instantly recognize this song. It is called Persistence, written by a legendary rock star from Grand Gia. Fans are shocked, asking if this is Shay Wei's song. That raw voice instantly takes older listeners back to the days they struggled to survive. While the audience is lost in nostalgia, a man holding a microphone suddenly walks onto the stage during the chorus, singing along. You are my journey, oh my baby, ni kanda wo de lu, ni shuge island.
Down with champagne, down washes away.
You are my journey, oh my baby, until I will rule my whole world. One of the judges, Wang Yifeng, instantly loses his cool and stands straight up. With that iconic raspy voice, who else could it be but Shu Wei? Seriously, what kind of insane connections does Su Xiaoya have to bring a legendary boss like him on stage? Shu Wei remains totally chill, waving while singing. Su Xiaoya smartly backs off to sing harmony, and their duet creates an incredible chemical reaction that blows the audience away. It is absolute ear candy for rock fans. Once the song ends, Shu Wei just bows and leaves the stage without lingering for even a second. Su Xiaoya follows right behind him, her face flushed red as she bows repeatedly. Honestly, she never dreamed this performance would go so well. She is internally thanking her agency for setting this up. Soon, it is time for the judges' feedback, and they all look at each other in shock. For a moment, they do not even know what to say. Sure, her performance was flawless, but here is the thing. She basically just sang backup. When a literal god of rock carries you the entire time, there is no point in picking out flaws. The judges just praise her and move on. They quickly wrap up her evaluation. Soon, a dozen other contestants perform, showing off some solid vocals and keeping the crowd entertained. But honestly, none of their guests bring that insane, jaw-dropping energy that Shu Wei did. That is, until the next big performance starts. A new contestant walks out alongside an old-school Heavenly King. The second he starts singing, his rugged, nostalgic voice instantly sounds super familiar. 10 phone, when you turn up your place and go on, hey, sad, do not hide it. Should be a bitch. You won't in 5. I don't need this. I say it in 1. I am telling that you have got me wanting so bad for me, and then he opens his mouth. It is pure, classic Cantonese. The crowd absolutely loses it, singing along at the top of their lungs, and by the peak of the song, even the judges are quietly humming along. The entire venue is completely hyped up, and the judges can only stare at this legend and gulp. They look at each other in silence. Wang Yifeng, the resident rock expert, picks up his mic, looks at the name Chen Feng, and praises the show. He admits that Heavenly King Zhou's vocals totally blew him away, giving credit where it is due, but then he instantly shifts the mood. He asks Chen Feng what his actual contribution to the performance was. Chen Feng just stutters, completely paralyzed by the judge's intense pressure. The poor guy is totally terrified. The judges can only sigh. It is just another agency pulling strings to buy their contestant a free pass.
He simply dismisses him and calls for the next act. The judges exchange quick nods with Zhou Huajian as they watch the legend leave the stage. Honestly, times must be tough if even a heavenly king has to do these cash grab gigs. Still, the crowd is absolutely loving the hype.
The venue is completely on fire, but that is terrible news for the next performers. Compared to a literal legend, they are just pure cannon fodder.
It did not really stir up any drama. The host walks back on stage with his script, announcing that all contestants are done. All right, so the host is wrapping up, asking the 1,000 live judges to cast their votes. But before he can even finish his sentence, out of nowhere, a piercing alarm blares through the entire studio. Danger warning lights start flashing red all over the stage. The crowd is completely lost, and the live chat is already losing its mind. Even the host is clueless, until a staff member runs up with a new script. He clears his throat and announces, "Everyone, I have an urgent update. The competition is not over yet." There is still one final performer left to take the stage. The second he says that, the screen behind him lights up. Wild card challenger ready. Wait, a wild card challenger? Bro, what? Is some music legend about to drop in and completely fold the competition? If so, this ticket is worth every single penny. The chat is absolutely exploding. Behind the monitors, director Zhang Tao is sweating bullets. He is gambling everything on this performance. He did not even check the flash drive Xia Li handed him before rushing it to the sound booth. Talk about a massive leap of faith. On stage, the host keeps the hype going. "Please welcome our wild card challenger." Instantly, the lights cut out. A figure dressed in pure white steps right into the center of the spotlight. The entire crowd falls dead silent. For a second, even the chat stops scrolling. Then, boom, everyone loses it. Ain't no way it's actually this guy. I was guessing every big name in the industry, but never in a million years did I expect Xia Li. The hype is unreal. He steps up to the mic, calm as ever, and announces, "This song is called Wishing." The entire audience blinks. Wishing? No one has ever heard of it. Is this built different MC really about to drop another banger original song? The screen updates. Song title, Wishing. Written and composed by Xia Li himself. He sits down, totally in his zone. As his fingers glide across the keys, a hauntingly beautiful melody fills the room. The noisy crowd instantly hushes. If only you are not alone, whether you go or chase the dawn. Like an ocean hiding a tiny grain of sand. His vocals are crystal clear, making the three judges instantly sit up. This melody demands insane breath control, yet he makes it look effortless. It's pure silk. The judges exchange heavy looks, leaning in to hear the next line. They tell me of the joy. Watching me fly through the moon. A tiny boat wishing for youth to stay. They lock eyes, absolutely stunned. This level of vocal control is actually terrifying. The audience is already losing it. In the control room, director Zhang Tao stands frozen while his crew cheers. He snaps out of it, grabs his walkie-talkie, and barks orders to the camera crew to get those close-ups. Zoom in on those shocked judge reactions. Let everyone see a prosperous view of peace on your mind. Quietly hiding the spark in me, a tender sound to hear. Through the endless storm, I still find my path clear. Like a thirsty child finding water in the wild. A lifetime of hope in the blink of an eye. And you wipe away so many of my tears. His heavenly vocals give everyone goosebumps. In the green room, the other contestants look like they just saw a ghost. Talk about an absolute boss-level dimensional strike. This is just bullying at this point. Suddenly, Xia Li looks toward the center of the stage, where a thin, dark-skinned man is now standing. The crowd blinks. Who on earth is this guy? But then, it hits them. It is his guest performer. Xia Li was so brilliant they completely forgot he brought a partner. Even director Zhang Tao missed him at first, but he quickly orders the cameras to lock onto the man. On screen, the man is nervously clutching the mic, looking stiff and incredibly out of place on such a massive stage. The crowd is instantly intrigued, but mostly confused. I mean, this guy looks incredibly ordinary. Is he some retired industry titan? Probably not, or else we would have heard some legends about him. For a make-or-break stage like this, there is no way Xia Li would just bring some random citizen, right? The three judges whisper among themselves, but even with all their experience, they can only shake their heads. Backstage, Zhang Tao sighs. He went through hell to get Xia Li on this show, but it feels like the guy is just playing around. The song is a masterpiece, but the man is too pure for his own good. He has zero commercial sense. Director Zhang is low-key fuming that a huge agency like Yudi did not plan this out. Even a mid-tier singer from their roster would be a better collab for Xia Li. Leveraging a real artist for hype is way better than dragging a random nobody on stage. Next to him, Chen Zhong can only sweat bullets while looking at the director's dark face. It is not like he did not try to arrange an artist. Xia Li was just too overconfident, bringing a random stranger. On stage, he plays the piano and signals the guest to start. The salesman's hand trembles as he holds the mic. He is hit with nostalgia, but mostly pure excitement. After all these years, this is finally happening. The second time he has ever stood under such a massive spotlight. As he gets ready to speak, the entire crowd holds their breath. Some are still holding on to a shred of hope. What if Xia Li actually found a god-tier underground musician who just is not famous yet? Honestly, that plot twist would hit harder than an A-list collab. His plainclothes already contrast heavily with the grand stage. Next, he raises the mic to his lips. He slowly starts to speak, but instead of singing, he gives a nervous introduction. Hello everyone, my name is Shi Jinshui. He says his former job was an internet hype artist. Immediately, people are confused. Bro, what? Is he doing a job interview on a music show? The judges are speechless. What is Xia Li doing? Letting him tell a sob story? Still, the three judges do not interrupt. The salesman takes a deep breath, admitting no one here knows his name. He says it might be better to introduce himself using his old internet alias instead. His old screen name was Guangzhou Rich Boy. His eyes glaze over as he remembers 2011 when he came across a specific post online. It was a plea for help from a desperate mother. Her 6-month-old baby had been diagnosed with eye cancer, and time was running out. The medical bills were insane, and the family was broke. So he left a comment saying 20,000 yuan is less than what he spends on his girlfriend's lipsticks. If she crawls a kilometer on her knees, he will pay. The crowd starts whispering. Wanting to help is good, but his tone is absolute trash. Crawling is incredibly humiliating, but some fans in the crowd argue that maybe he just wanted to test the mother's sincerity. When a life is on the line, pride means absolutely nothing. 20,000 yuan was a massive sum back in 2011. What if the mother was just a scammer? Would you just throw that cash away? Over on the panel, the judges start to frown. Did Xia Li really bring this guy on to exploit a sob story? Suddenly, an audience member snaps and starts screaming curses. He shouts that the guy is a total scumbag and that he was actually one of the reporters on that case.
He played that poor mother like a toy, never paid her a dime, and mocked her. The crowd suddenly remembers his notorious username.
Back then, that kneeling incident caused a massive uproar. Netizens wanted to dox this disgusting guy so badly. If kind people hadn't raised 280,000 yuan, that mother would have been hopeless. This guy is actual trash. But most of the crowd is just confused. 2011 was a lifetime ago, and the timeline is too distant for them. Many weren't even online back then. They turned their attention back to Shi Jinshui, waiting for him to explain himself. Shi Jinshui holds the mic, totally calm. He nods and admits that, yes, they are right. He did say all those things. He actually admits it. As soon as he confesses, the massive LED screen behind him starts playing a video. It is freezing cold in the footage, right in the middle of March. Pedestrians are bundled up tightly against the icy wind. Under the bitter cold, a tearful, red-eyed mother resolutely crawls on her knees along the freezing concrete, heading in one direction. The wind howls as she slowly crawls forward. Her eyes are pure determination. She just needs to reach the stadium to save her baby. She gently pats the sleeping baby in her arms. When a gust of wind hits, she wraps her coat tighter to protect her. Blocking out the cold draft with her jacket, passers-by give her strange looks, occasionally stopping to stare. But nobody helps. They are just watching the drama. As she crawls, she remembers the harsh words of her online benefactor. He told her she was pathetic and that he had seen her type before. If she really cared, she should prove it.
He challenged her to crawl all the way to the stadium. How could he know she was not just another online scammer? If she does it, he will pay 20,000 yuan. The demand was highly humiliating, treating her tragedy like a joke. But this broke, desperate mother did not care about dignity anymore. If this man would save her baby, he was her savior.
Brushing off the agonizing pain in her knees, she locks her eyes forward. She has to keep moving.
She can see the stadium. The bizarre sight on the streets quickly attracts onlookers, and reporters rush to cover the story. Soon, the entire city knows the story. Netizens dig up the forum thread where the challenge was originally posted. The scumbag's heartless tone makes everyone furious, but 20,000 yuan is a huge sum, so no one attacks him yet. Since it is a deal between the two, the internet has no right to interfere. But when Shan finally reaches the stadium, the arrogant scumbag leaves another comment. The scumbag posts that he will not donate, claiming she crawled of her own free will. Honestly, my fists are clenched. That mastermind who actually planned Shi Sanshu's kneeling campaign and secretly pushed her fundraise. Suddenly, everything became a massive joke. Angered netizens flooded the original heartwarming forum thread, turning it into a toxic wasteland of pure hate. Sickening insults piled up everywhere. The enraged internet mob had only one thought: they wanted him dead. Yet, despite the massive media backlash, his account completely vanished. Helpless, netizens had to drop the manhunt for now and focus back on helping Xia Sanshu.
Together, the internet worked its magic. Within days, they raised 280,000 yuan for the mother and child.
This money saved her. Seeing the footage of the little girl with eye cancer finally getting her surgery, the audience let out a sigh of relief. But when they looked back at Shi Jinshui, their anger flared up again. The nervous man kept rubbing his microphone, taking deep, heavy breaths. Without even looking at the screen behind him, he knew exactly what was playing. He had rewatched that clip 1,000,000 times during his years of misery. Every frame was burned into his brain. Facing the furious crowd, he finally raised his head and spoke. I did nothing wrong. Even as he stood his ground, the crowd kept jeering and throwing insults. But amidst all that rage, a little girl sat quietly. She was staring at a signed photo of the star currently playing the piano. It was a prized possession she had begged her sister to get for her. But now she suddenly didn't want it anymore. Looking up at her mother, she asked why Xia Li would hang out with someone so bad.
Is Xia Li a bad person too? She asked. Her mother froze for a second before answering that people are highly complicated creatures.
She gently patted her daughter's head, telling her that at least now she could see this celebrity's true colors. Seeing her daughter so disheartened made her sad too. Meanwhile, back on stage, Shi Jinshui stands defiant once more. Xia Li just smiles silently. Suddenly, the giant stage screen slides open, and a simply dressed woman walks out holding a young girl's hand. Shi Jinshui turns around, and the moment he sees them, his tough exterior completely crumbles. He turns to Xia Li in absolute shock. He sighs, asking how they have been, but before he can finish, both mother and daughter drop to their knees, crying out to their savior. They tearfully ask where he has been hiding, while the little girl bows, thanking the uncle who saved her life. Shi Jinshui rushes to pull them up. Xia Li gently tells Shi Sanshu to speak up and finally clear this good man's name. She takes the mic and introduces herself as the mother who famously knelt and crawled down Guangzhou Avenue to save her daughter. She reveals that everyone had got him all wrong. Shi Jinshui actually approached her back then and masterminded the entire stunt for publicity. He told her to ignore whatever happened to him and just keep crawling along the route. Once they got public attention, he secretly paid her 20,000 yuan, posted that cruel viral insult to blow up the story, and then vanished forever. Every time she saw people online still cursing his name, she felt awful. Her child was cured, yet he carried that shame. He took the fall for a lifetime. She tried reaching out to the media to clear his name, but nobody cared anymore. As years went by, the truth simply didn't generate clicks. Her voice was too quiet, and she had no way to explain. Luckily, Xia Li reached out to her recently, promising her a massive stage on primetime television to set the record straight.
As she finishes her story, the entire studio falls into a dead, stunned silence. The massive screen behind them flashes. It shows old screenshots of the horrific cyberbullying he endured, from personal threats to family insults. The sheer hatred was terrifying. Who could survive that kind of online witch hunt? Shi Jinshui, this absolute unit of a man, finally starts tearing up. He survived poverty and eating scraps, but having his name cleared after a decade, that finally broke him. Being good is so hard. Shi Jinshui looks at the girl, smiling through tears. You must be 13 now. Study hard and take care of your mother, he says. She nods, whispering that he looks so old now. He chuckles, rubbing his white hair before turning to Xia Li to thank him for using this massive national stage to finally clear his name. Over at the judges' table, Zhou Wei slaps his forehead in absolute shock, looking at his colleagues. Xia Li didn't care about the competition at all. He literally used this entire television show to save a man's life. Backstage, the director Zhang Tao is speechless, realizing Xia Li just elevated this entire show into something truly legendary. While everyone else is losing their minds over this masterclass play, Xia Li is completely unfazed at his piano, looking at the stage. He asks Shi Jinshui 3 quick questions, the first one being, why did he have to go to such extreme lengths? Why cause such a massive scene? Shi Jinshui answers that he was gambling on something. Gambling on what? Human nature. But he didn't bet on people being good. He bet on their worst instincts, knowing they would want him dead. He made up the whole rich kid persona specifically to disgust the internet and draw massive attention. Everyone wanting him dead meant the media would keep reporting, giving the girls fundraising non-stop exposure. He even saved up the $20,000 himself. Hearing him admit he bet on human malice rather than goodness absolutely shocks the entire stream. This level of sacrifice is unreal. Talk about looking straight into the abyss. Shi Jinshui saw right through human nature to play this massive game, even making himself a pawn on the board. Honestly, that realization hits way too hard. A master strategist enters the board himself to challenge fate. And get this, I actually went back and dug up the old newspaper reports from back then. You think Shi Sanchu's kneeling crawl route was just some random choice? No shot. That route was calculated to pass right by almost every single media outlet. There were at least 8 or 9 major news stations there. Shi Jinshui calculated their exact locations. He is literally a top-tier genius, leaving the audience completely speechless. Someone in the crowd shouts that the young hero Shi Jinshui absolutely deserves to be called master. Even the judges did not see this intense questioning coming from Xia Li. And they definitely did not expect Shi Jinshui's answer to hit like this. Right now, everyone is just staring at him with pure, unfiltered respect. That heroic vibe on him is just insane. Xia Li keeps his gaze locked on him and asks again, how has his life changed over those 15 years? People can never fully feel someone else's pain, but hearing this story straight from the man himself makes all the difference. It lets the audience truly connect with Shi Jinshui's past. The man slowly raises the mic, but his face is completely calm, showing none of Xia Li's intense seriousness. There is no shock on him, just absolute peaceful calm. He gently says that nobody has actually asked him that before, so he won't dwell on the changes. Instead, he talks about how sweet the rice back home tastes, how soft the soil feels under his feet, and how cold the well water is for chilling watermelons. He mentions sitting outside his wooden cabin counting stars every night, but then he adds that he probably will never touch a computer keyboard again. His whole life changed because of that keyboard, and its keys felt colder than any well water. He does not explain any further. But everyone gets it. Back when computers were incredibly rare, his vision as a digital mastermind was decades ahead of its time. Yet he gave all of that up to go back home and farm the land. Honestly, who could just walk away like that? But Shi Jinshui truly let it go. Letting go of everything is never as easy as it sounds. The man's hair turned completely white from the stress, but he actually did it. He is a literal saint. At this point, absolutely everyone in the crowd is completely won over. Shaolin takes a deep breath and asks his final question. Do you regret any of it? Shi Jinshui suddenly smiles, his eyes crinkling. He says his mother used to tell him that every star in the sky is actually a life that passed away, turning into glowing stars to guide the people they loved. Now he sits by his cabin counting them. Saying this, Shi Jinshui glances at the girl beside him. He admits that whenever his count goes up, he feels incredibly lucky. A guy like him who has never even boarded a plane actually stopped a star from fading away. Then he asks Xia Li, if it were you, would you ever regret saving a precious life and keeping that star shining bright? Hearing that, the entire internet finally realized just how different they are from this true hero. Meanwhile, back in the contestant dressing room, the other contestants are absolutely losing their minds. 3 questions, 3 answers. The emotional maturity of these two on stage is just on a whole different level. Xia Li gave him a chance to show his struggles, but Shi Jinshui's answers took this whole segment to an entirely new level. He did not play the victim or beg for sympathy. He just spoke with pure nobility. Right as everyone was processing this, the long-delayed music suddenly starts playing again. I am the half-acre of farmland in the forest you once cleared, waiting to be watered, waiting for someone to guard it. The mountains and rivers are safe. The hearth fires are ordinary. Is this the peaceful world you wish to see? Sleep peacefully, children, as if you are held in my warm embrace. You will grow tall and march towards a brand new dawn. If the first half of Xia Li's song shocked everyone with pure vocal talent, the second half completely pulls them into the deep meaning of the lyrics. His ethereal yet firm voice carries a wave of warmth that wraps around the ears of every single listener in the room. In the dressing room, the legendary mentor Zhou Huajian whispers 3 words, love without boundaries. Everyone immediately turns to look at him, nodding in silent agreement. Honestly, the veteran singer nailed it perfectly. That is exactly what this is, a boundless, deep love that is almost impossible to describe in words. Only a love like that could keep Shi Jinshui enduring public hatred and mosquito-ridden wooden cabins for 15 years. One of the contestants quickly tries to kiss up. He says that Teacher Joe is amazing for pointing out the core message of the song, but Zhou Huajian just glances at him, shakes his head, and downplays it. He says it is just a basic observation. If anyone is truly a genius here, it is Xia Li. He smiles bitterly, admitting that if it were him, he could never write a masterpiece like this. Silence. Absolute silence. Hearing a legend admit that hits the dressing room just as hard as the plot twist of Shi Jinshui. Having an industry giant openly admit he cannot match a rookie is wild. It is basically him confessing that he is not on the same level as Xia Li. Now this prosperous world is exactly as you wished. And I will love the world that you loved so deeply. May every bit of the warmth you dreamed of be fully realized through my life today. The haunting melody floats through the air, completely gripping the entire crowd. Every single person in the studio is holding their breath, totally entranced. The raw emotion in the vocals is just on another level. You can literally feel the sheer weight of the lyrics. And just like that, the final emotional note echoes out. Pure perfection. As the last piano note fades, the screen shows the title Wish, dedicated to Mr. Shi Jingquan. Cleansing the name of a hero, Xia Li grabs the mic and walks over to Shi Jinshui, speaking calmly. Time proves everything, but sometimes, by the time it does, that proof has already lost its meaning. But seeing your reactions, I hope this late justice can still bring some warmth to Brother Shi Jingquan. Xia Li bows, leaving the entire studio dead silent as viewers online go absolutely wild. A screen weakens the impact, but live, it is unreal. Everyone wants to scream, but they are just speechless. The host quickly steps up, thanking challenger Xia Li for the epic performance, and calls on the judges. Judge Su Wanrong wipes away her tears and asks if Xia Li can share his creative journey. He takes the mic and says he simply put himself in the shoes of the legendary brother. This song is for him, and his incredible life story was the ultimate inspiration. Finding profound love in an ordinary person. Your pen game is elite, and artists will be begging you for songs. Su Wanrong even leans over to the crowd, urging everyone to vote for Xia Li in the next round. A judge personally begging for votes is unheard of on this show, making other contestants low-key jealous.
Why does Xia Li get this treatment? Another judge, Zhou Wei, admits he is totally conquered and joins in too.
That is 2 judges down. While everyone waits for the third, Wang Yifeng grabs the mic and calmly refuses.
If all 3 of us beg, people will think we are just paid shills hired by Xia Li. His rugged look and playful joke lightens the mood, but he admits the song Wish is technically flawless.
He praises Xia Li for having great stage presence as a rookie, but then he flips the script.
However, I notice some tiny flaws. If you can fix these gaps, you will go much further.
I get that you put that text on screen at the end just for a dramatic stage effect.
Xia Li wants to explain, but Wang Yifeng cuts him off, claiming the atmosphere was fine, but still flawed.
But kid, your performance has a major logical flaw. Flawed shows do not hold up under repeated viewings.
At this point, the crowd is super curious. Loving the attention, Wang Yifeng speaks up.
The man introduced himself as Shi Jinshui, right? But the final text on screen showed a different name.
It said Shi Jin Quan, which is 1 character off. Most missed it, but if they rewatch this show,
they will definitely notice. Sure, your dialogue with Shi Jinshui during the instrumental was touching. But getting the name wrong is unacceptable. He chuckles, saying the kid is just too young and inexperienced.
The classic slap and sweet treat routine. Honestly, this judge does not respect Xia Li at all.
to him, judges are elite and contestants are beneath them. He hated how the other judges praised him.
He sits back like a wise elder, but his nitpicking starts to make the audience doubt the performance.
Some think he is arrogant, but has a point. People start whispering that they noticed the mistake too. They were just too emotional to speak up earlier.
And honestly, Xia Li sang his heart out.
The flaws do not ruin a masterpiece. The song itself is still absolutely perfect from any angle.
But calling the muse the wrong name is a bad look, and some viewers even start to doubt the song. They wonder if the story is fake. How could Xia Li get the prototype's name completely wrong? Or was his whole performance just a pre-planned show? Since Xia Li is from UD Company, they think the company scripted everything and Xia Li just messed up. Chen Zhong is absolutely furious hearing this. Total bullcrap! Xia Li even hid this from his own manager. UD has absolutely nothing to do with it.
On stage, Wang Yifeng gloats. Suddenly, a little girl's voice rings out from the crowd, calling everyone stupid.
But then this little girl points at a bearded judge and calls him incredibly stupid. Her rich parent panics, telling her to keep quiet. Clutching her signed photo, she says even a second grader knows the Chinese characters for whole and water only differ by the word white, and since Uncle Shi was accused and lost his innocence, his 10 pounds of whole naturally became 10 pounds of water. It is that simple. Suddenly, dead silence fills the room. You can practically hear the crickets. Wang Yifeng, who was acting super smug a second ago, completely freezes with his face burning. How did he not realize the word whole minus innocence becomes water? Is that actually how it works?